We are live.
Official.
We official. It's counting. See the count?
Here. I do see the count.
See the count?
Amen.
I'm gonna share it while you talk. This was fun. Yep, we are live right now.
We all good.
We all good.
All right. Man, technology is a beast.
Listen, it was exciting. Someone's watching.
It
Let
was
us know if
exciting.
you can see us and hear us, because
Yeah, let us know,
it's
guys, if you're in
been
here.
a fun 25 minutes.
To say the least. To say the least. Yeah, we'll wait a few minutes if you want, or about a minute or so, just to see if folks pop in.
Give them, give them, I don't know.
Is y'all here? Where you at?
I am sharing it now so folks know where to find us.
I'm looking at your page.
I didn't share it there yet.
Oh, well, there it is. How about that?
I started with my pages because we so official.
Come on, sirens.
Right. Oh Lord, you can hear that through my headphones. Mm-mm. Okay, let's see
Did they
where
come
it
over
went.
you, friend? Because they sound like they at your door.
Be quiet.
I ain't gonna tell them what you did. I ain't gonna tell them what you did last summer.
Don't let them know I'm here. We got somebody. Hey, Jeff, Act Pack in the building. What's up, Act Pack? All right, it's on one page. We had a little technical difficulties. Thank you for your patience, my people.
Yeah, yeah.
This was a fun 25 minutes. Sorry y'all missed that. Y'all missed that.
Y'all
All right,
definitely.
I can
Y'all,
see it. So tell them who
y'all
you are.
definitely. What's going on, everybody? It's Brysen with Being a Mix. I'm live with the one and the only. Um, she has so many titles. Um, but all around, she's just like a great person. Someone I definitely look up to. Someone I definitely feel like I can call like any time of the day or night. She always got mad jokes. Mad jokes, best advice. Angel Simmons, author. We're here to talk with her today. How you doing?
I'm good. This was an adventure, but we here now. We here now.
We in there.
We in here.
Oh man, how are you holding up? How are you? How are you? I know we're going through some very very trying times. You know, it almost feels, if there's a comparison, it almost feels like maybe, what our ancestors, dealt with, years ago back in the day, you know.
Hmm.
So how are you feeling with the pandemic, with all of the cultural issues that's going on? How's your mental?
It's interesting. It depends on what day you ask me. It has changed back and forth repeatedly since March 13th when I came home. I just went back into a physical building for work on Monday. So this was a very strange week for me.
Mm,
Overall, um, it's been a little stressful with doing the interventions for suicide prevention and talking with people and talking people down and dealing with grief. Outside of that, I love being alone. So
word, word.
being at home and not having to leave the house unless I needed food,
Right.
it has been pleasant for me. I was a little disturbed about having to go out into gin pop, as I said.
Right.
But it's been a roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster. As far as the cultural energy, yeah, it's very reminiscent of stuff my mother might have gone through.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
And she is it's a similar process or experience because she is the lightest one in the family. She's the lightest one of her siblings. So she was the light skinned one with the long hair. So that was a
Mm.
whole nother culture. I
Mhm.
have typically been either the only black or the youngest black a lot of places in a lot of organizations, on a lot of committees, on a lot of boards. So dealing with my non-black comrades,
Counterparts. Yeah.
that has been an experience by itself because our conversations are very different. And
Hmm.
I think a lot of us are finding out that we really never understood each other. We really didn't. And if I say something and whatever you gather from it, most likely is wrong, you know. And their idea of being an ally was wrong, you know. So it's been a lot of conversation that we would not have normally had, but I've been trying to have it for years just because of the positions and the places that I've been. So that's how I am.
That I see. I see. Do you feel more of a support system from the your non-black counterparts? Do you feel more of a support system now?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. What I have determined is the people I thought were allies and in my corner were the people that were allies and in my corner.
Uh-huh.
Um, it was already known.
Yeah.
They had already showed themselves. They had already been supportive. They had already been speaking out. They had already been marching. They had already been posting, and those were the same people that checked on me, that sent me messages, that called me to ask me how I was doing when they were
Right.
protesting. It's like, wow. And then the people who I thought was questionable, they still question. The people I was certain were not allies, they are not allies. So it just, this particular time, it has shown itself. Mask came off. It has really shown itself. So, you know, the
Right.
last thing you want is for me to think I've been right all the time because, I tend to think I'm right a lot. So
No, 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 no,
it just
no,
feeds my rightness.
no, no, no.
This has
All
fed my.
right. Well, yeah, it's definitely a whole mood. It's definitely a whole mood right now. I don't know. Hopefully things will get better soon, but they often say, it gets worse before it gets better. So
I'm hoping this was the worst. I'm hoping this was the worst before the better, because this was a lot. It was a lot.
yeah, for sure.
Hey, Jessica.
Hey, Jessica. So you guys feel free. Me and Angel are gonna get into a little bit of Q&A, a little chit chat, rapid chat, as I like to say. But feel free to comment, respond, ask your questions. Um, if you are in a space where you don't feel comfortable putting your question live on the feed, you can definitely go to my inbox. You can definitely go to Angel's inbox, and
Mhm.
we will, support you the best way possible by responding to your question or your situation. So, with that being said, friend, you have this new book, and this book, when I found out you was writing this book, I was like, "Ooh, she peeling the layers all the way back, all the
I'm
way back.
trying to.
Target of love, and it's
Mhm.
the title itself, you know, is really stands out to me. Like when I saw it, it's Target of Love, surviving narcissistic abuse, and sometimes you don't always equate the two, narcissism and love. So I'm interested in how you even came up with that title. I know love is your ultimate everything, but how did you blend those together? Because it seems to fit.
Well, one of the things that I've learned with dealing with people, and all of this love talk that I've been doing, I have identified or been attached to other lovers, other people that are wear their hearts on their sleeves, other people that are highly empathic or extremely sensitive or things of that nature. And we tend to attract people that look to take advantage of that.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Can you repeat that, please?
I said we tend to attract people that take advantage of that.
That was
Um,
for the people in the cheap seats.
Yeah, and it's not always on purpose, but it is definitely a thing. If you are loving, caring, giving, healing, if you're always the strong friend, if you're always, giving the shirt off your back, if you're always the one that shows up to help, supportive, volunteering, those types of people, nurturers, carers. We tend to attract people who either really, really need that because they need healing or they're broken or they're dealing with something, or they really want that because it feeds their energy. And these are the type of people that I've been talking about as this project has come together. So we tend to attract the folks that suck us dry, and that's how they coincide together.
So, is that safe to say that people like you, like myself, so we're actually the targets of love?
Absolutely, we're
Right.
we're the love that's the target. I didn't want to write it backwards though,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we're definitely targeted because we have what people need, and we always show up and we always give 198.5%.
Point two.
Right, we always do that, and people that see that, they start to expect that. People who need that start to uh, mishandle that, and the folks that just want it, they know how to use it, and they know how to say what they need to say to get it. They know how to tap into your energy. They know how to get you to sympathize with them, and yeah, it's been a learning process. I've always been the one that sits on 5 committees, or
Right,
you either at work first or you at work last, or it's
right,
always something. So it carries over into our work life, into our ministry life, into our friendships, and especially into our romantic relationships. So it carries over and spills over into all of those areas, and we really can't get away from it because that's just who we are, and human nature, like to take advantage of that.
so how do you fix it? How do you fix it? If we're being our authentic self, you know, and sharing love, showing love, being love, because that's who we are. You know what I'm saying? That's how God created us to be. How do you fix um, that level of vulnerability or not being taken advantage of by a narcissist? And even how do you identify a
Well,
narcissist?
well, part of this book is that just that identifying narcissists. It explores. It started with 10 stories. It might be more than 10 by the time I finish, but it started with 10 different stories from different individuals who have experienced narcissism. Um, whether it was, like I said, whether it was family or romantic interest or work or friendship, but it tells their stories, and then it gives you the whole scientific and scriptural background so that you can tap into your own experiences and recognize when you're being taken advantage of, recognize those red flags. We talk a lot about red flags so that you can see. Um, where you stand and learn how to protect your energy. Learn how to protect your vulnerability. It's one thing to be vulnerable and authentic. It's another thing to be a sucker.
Right.
Those are two different things. It's another thing to be a doormat. It's another thing to be taken advantage of. So learning the differences and being able to recognize it was the first thing, because most people, we have dealt with selfishness on all levels, and honestly, we all have been guilty of narcissistic behavior. It doesn't necessarily mean you have the personality disorder, but we all know how to be selfish. We know what it's like to, not want to give, not want to share, even if that's who we are and how we usually operate and function. We know, there are times when we don't, and we should have. We know when we need to step up and do better. So we all know what it's like to be selfish. Um, so understanding that fact kind of helps us to recognize seeing it in other people.
This is deep. This is actually very personal for me. I was very excited about this interview because I feel like, this happens to me often. Um, you know, Obviously, when your mind becomes clearer, you're able to look back at past relationships, friendships, whatever kind of ships, and then you can see it then. But oftentimes you can't really see it, in the moment.
No, a
Um,
lot of times you can't, and that's why the book is about surviving, because these are stories about people who got out. Because in the middle of it, you don't know you're in the middle of it. You don't, and especially for people like us who are used to healing, nurturing, fixing. Emphasis on fixing. We want to see the best. We want to see the best in people. We see the light in people. We see the good in people, and sometimes that's all we see, or sometimes that's all we choose to see. So it makes a big difference. So it's very difficult to see it while you're in it. It's not really until you got one foot out. You got to have a whole foot out.
right.
It's like, wait a minute. Is that what I was dealing with? Are you kidding me? And you make a choice. You gonna try to go fix it again, or you gonna get both feet out? But
And then you often see, then you like end up, recalling, certain times when this happened or when that happened. Then, when it's all said and done, obviously, and then you're like, oh, it makes sense.
yeah,
When they did XYZ, when they didn't do XYZ, or when they said XYZ,
hmm
it's,
yeah,
it's, it's that's super deep,
yes.
super
It's
deep. So,
after the fact revelation. It really is.
man, that's what smack you in the face, knock you down, revelation.
Unless you've been through it. If you've been through it before and you've gotten out, um, you can definitely see it more clearly. You can see it up front. But there's a danger in wanting to label everybody at that
Yeah,
point. Because as soon
yeah,
as you see a little bit of selfishness, it's like, nope, not doing that. But that doesn't mean everybody is, a narcissist or suffering from the personality disorder. But once you start recognizing it, you tend to fall back very early, very early, so you can figure out what it is first.
Can you give us a description of what this actual personality disorder really is? And then do people who have this personality disorder, do they know?
Most people don't. Getting a narcissist to admit they're a narcissist, uh, yeah, that's like 1%. That's
Right.
not something that's really going to happen. When you talk about narcissism, and I love that you put the definition in the post about this interview, but
Yeah.
someone who has an excessive admiration of themselves, um, arrogance, extreme selfishness, sense of entitlement. Um, and that's coupled with self-centeredness, and sometimes it's coupled with a lack of empathy for
Yeah.
other people. There are 9 characteristics of someone who has narcissistic personality disorder that I go into in the book. I'm not gonna go into it here, but
Not good.
in order to, by the book, But for someone to be diagnosed with a personality disorder, they have to have 5 of the 9.
Okay.
They have to have 5 of the 9, and that might not always include lack of empathy. And that was one of the surprises to me when I started studying. Someone could be empathetic and still have that personality disorder. And I always characterize narcissists with complete lack of empathy. Don't
Sure.
care about your feelings. So that was a eye opener for me that they could have empathy. They just use it a different way. Um, but someone who has a disorder, it's a long term pattern of behavior. So it's not something that you just start recognizing all of a sudden. If you go back to their childhood, you can trace this. If you go back to their teenage years, you can trace this. But it's a long term,
Yeah.
um, and it's characterized by exaggerated feelings of self importance. They have to be in front. They have to be number one. They are the most important thing. It's not your feelings. It's not your kids. It's not your job. Can you make me breakfast? I know you late and you might lose your job. I need steak and eggs right now. It's not really that simple. I'm trying to lighten it up, but it's not really that simple. But a lot of it is a lack of understanding about the feelings of other people. Things that make perfect sense to us don't. They don't really make sense to other people because they need to know why they can't have it, why they can't have it, why they can't get it, why they can't get it right now, why you can't be here in 5 minutes, why you don't
Right.
have people on me, why I can't use your car, why you can't watch my kids, why? Because it's all about them. So looking at that, it kind of changes the perspective. Um, One of the things that I learned, and the other thing, well, this was probably the first surprise when I started really studying this from a scientific perspective, is that it's a brain disorder. This is something that's biological. This is not a character defect. It's not like a flaw in personality. There is something different about uh, the brain of a person with a personality disorder than it is with anybody else. And from what I've read, is first of all, it's smaller. Some of the places are smaller. Um, you doing the same thing repeatedly creates different pathways in your brain. You keep doing that, it goes the same way. And it's not until you start doing something different that it changes those pathways. So for people who have the personality disorder, they've been doing the same thing the same way all the time. They expect you to do the same thing the same way all the time. And it's not until they realize that something is off, or they realize they're not getting the same response from you, and then they're understanding, okay, something's going on. You're not responding the same way. You're not jumping when I call. You're not catering to me. You're not, providing everything I need. That's when they notice that something is wrong, but they don't necessarily notice that it's something off with them. They just know it's something off with you
Right.
because you're
Right.
doing what they want you to
Right.
do. There are very few narcissists, first of all, that are diagnosed. I believe the number was somewhere like 5%, 4 or 5% of people that actually have been diagnosed with the personality disorder. And if you ask those people why they decided to get therapy or even go see about a
Yeah.
diagnosis, it was because they were at risk of losing something. It was about the consequence. I'm going to lose my marriage. I'm going to lose my relationship. I'm going to lose my job. I got to go and get counseling. I got to go to therapy. I got to go get something. It's never because they recognize they're a narcissist and they need help.
About being made whole. Right.
Never. It's all about the consequences and what they might lose if they don't go and do this.
So seeking the diagnosis itself is almost a narcissistic behavior.
They're extremely manipulative. If they're going to get a diagnosis, it's because you threaten them with divorce papers. It's because you as an employer required them to go and get some mental health counseling. It's because they were required or they were going to lose something. And they
So
didn't want
it
what
becomes
they were
another
losing.
crutch. It still becomes another about me thing. So it's like a revolving door. How do you even settle this?
Well, the settling comes in the change in behavior. If they do own up to or find a way to get to counseling, therapy, treatment, whatever you want to call it, somewhere in those sessions, they're learning how to change their behavior. And regardless of the reason that they're doing it, changing the behavior will change those pathways in their brain. So once those pathways starts changing, their behavior will start changing along with it. But it takes a lot. It takes a lot to get to that point, and there's a commitment. There's a
Yeah.
commitment to that, as well as a commitment to whoever they're accountable to. So if it's someone in the same house, whether it's family or spouse, um, they have to be just as committed to that person's treatment as that person is. And a lot of that comes with zero tolerance. And whatever it is that they've been doing, zero tolerance. You're not going to accept it. We're not doing this anymore. I'm not going to respond to that. And setting these guidelines, and it might take some time of separation, especially if there was abuse involved. Um, it is always suggested that there be some time of separation, but they both parties have to be committed to that. The problem is most narcissists aren't accountable to anybody. They're not. They're not. If you think about example, a narcissistic pastor is accountable to who? The congregation? I don't think so. His staff, clergy, her staff, her clergy? Not really, because they're in a leadership position. They're in charge of something.
Right.
Who are they really accountable to? Who's going to check them? Who's going to check a pastor?
Right. Right. Right.
So
I'm gonna touch three people.
or CEO. If it's a
Right.
CEO of the company, who's
Mhm.
checking the CEO?
Mhm.
Nobody, because he's signing your check. So it's a lot. A lot goes into that. But when they're not accountable to anybody, there's no reason for change. Hey, Chrissy, I like this conversation. It's real easy.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of that, what made you write this book is because this is not, even though this conversation is real easy, this is like I said, a very, very deep subject. And first of all, it takes a genius to even write this kind of book. Um, these identifiers and then surviving through it, and being able to see what the targets are and how to classify it. What made you write this book?
Um, I had to. That's my first answer. I've been in more than one narcissistic relationship, not one that was romantic, a boss at work, uh, people in ministry. I've had friends. I've had to look back on those relationships like, So it's been a few incidents where that came into play. There was one in particular some years back, the romantic relationship that just swallowed me, for lack of a better word. And it wasn't until I came out of that that I realized, one, what I had been dealing with,
Mhm.
and two, the fact that nobody could have helped me while I was in it, because nobody really understood that. Nobody understood um, nar- narcissism the way it really needs to be dissected. Nobody even suggested that,
Right.
until we were like at the end of it. Um, when I came out, I had to go no contact. Um, there was a little bit of time, and part of my healing was learning about it,
Yeah.
learning about the disorder, learning about what it is. And I spent a month on Instagram teaching about narcissism and toxic relationships and empaths and how they all kind of come together. And when I tell you, my inboxes were flooded And I had people that I knew, that I didn't know that part of their story,
Yeah.
that were sending me messages at all hours of the night, because they just saw it, and oh my God, my ex-husband, oh my God, my mother, oh my God, my fiance, oh my God. And it's like, oh my God, it's 4 a.m. Um, but it was a flood. It was just a flood of that. And it was so much information, and I was trying to share everything I learned. And when I finished that month, I posted some of those images, some of those quotes. I posted some things on Facebook, and that inbox blew up. And I was like, okay, this is serious. I
Yeah.
didn't, this, and then it became really personal for me to want to get the message out. So periodically, I would share stuff, post stuff, talk to some people. Um, and the next year, which would have been 2019, was the first year I found out about World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day. And that
Yeah.
was June 1st. That was
Right.
the first time I had never heard of that day before. I didn't know, there were so many organizations and support groups that were connected to this thing. And I went live. On that day, and for a little over an hour, I was just sharing information, going through the terms. I think it might have been 2 or 3 people that popped on, but afterwards, it just blew up. The box blew up. It's
Right.
like, how many people are really trying to heal from this and don't have these resources, never heard about it, never thought they were crazy. Okay, and that was a big part of it. Thought they were crazy, thought it was something wrong with them, thought it was something they could have done to avoid all of this. And it's like, look, and God was telling me around that time, okay, all this stuff you just shared, you need to be writing down. I'm like, I'm working on another book. I'm not gonna do that right now. And I think I had 3 books I had lined up. This is what I'm gonna write, this is next, this is gonna follow. Yeah, none of that happened.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of this year, February, I had this plan to drop my announcement in February about the book I wanted to put out, and stuff just kept happening. And he was like, "That ain't what I told you to do." It's like, why can't I do what I want to do? I always got to help people. I don't want to help, but it just kind of took over. It kind of took over, and then we were forced into a pandemic.
Yeah.
And wow, here's your time to write. So even though I was working from home, I was writing, I was talking to people, I was interviewing folks, I was collecting stories. And June 1st, for World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day this year, I dropped the book announcement. Coming soon. Dropped the book announcement. So that is that's how this happened.
And then here I go, looking at your friend. When we talking about this? All the way, real quick. How soon can we talk about it? I've been waiting on this day, Jack. Oh, wait. That's amazing. So how long did it take you? You sound like you wrote the book overnight.
I did not. It was a few months. I literally, like, most of the information that I had shared for the last year, June 1st, the live I did, most of that was the outline. And it's like, anytime God gives me something, at some point he's gonna show it to me and be like, "You already wrote it, so go ahead." Go ahead.
Okay.
But I had the outline for the entire book based on what I had shared when I went live last year. So I just kind of put some things together. I did my own cover, so I was really excited about that. And yeah, I am still tweaking. But the release date is the 27th. And yeah,
Where can we find it on the 27th? Where can we find it?
it'll be on Amazon. So it'll be on Amazon. The links, I always prefer you go through my link and buy it so you can get your autographed copy. And what I decided to do this year, because I did one interview a couple of weeks ago, and I think I have two more between now and the release date. But the first 20 people who order, they're going to get a special gift. So just the first 20 because it's 2020. So I have my locket here.
Mm-hmm.
Has a lava stone that you can use it for your aromatherapy.
Mm-hmm.
So mine is orange. Mine has orange essential oil on it. But I noticed that a lot of people who have dealt with abuse of any kind, they're looking for all kinds of ways to manage their stress. And aromatherapy is a good start to that. So first 20 people that orders their copy. Well, now it's 19 because somebody somebody ordered. I hadn't even put it out, hadn't put the price out. And they're like, here's my money, take my money. Like,
Wow.
let me tell you how much it is. Take my money, take my money.
Right.
So the first 20 people will get a special gift, and if they get it directly from me, they can customize their smells. So that'll be my gift for this book drop.
Nice. Well, I can't wait. I hope this platform and this book, along with your other books, because you're famous or whatever, allow, you know, people to be real, allow people to be genuine, allow people to be authentic with themselves first. And,
Mhm.
you know,
Really being honest with themselves is the first thing.
yeah,
We have so much pride, and we are so highly educated and woke that we tend to block out anything that makes us appear to be flawed or wrong, or any mistakes that we've made, because we don't want to look stupid, and we
right,
don't want to feel like that was just dumb. We should have known better. Some things you can't avoid, and some things are so hidden. They're so hidden. They're so covered in darkness. They're so uh, cloaked in evil, or mental health issues, things that we don't have access to. We don't
mhm,
have privy to the information. You can't operate when you don't know all the things.
or too
Um,
prideful to even go do that.
oh,
That's
or
another stigma in our community, you know.
yeah, yeah. So knowing that you need help, knowing that you've been abused. It's I've spoken with people who hadn't even gotten to the point of admitting that they had been abused. Everybody else knew, but they weren't even there yet to know that you've been abused, you've been in a toxic relationship, you have been broken, you have been mistreated, hurt, whatever. We just put on that I'm fine,
Right,
I'm good.
right,
You know, uh, we learn how to block and delete, but we don't learn how to heal. We don't learn how to heal. We don't, surviving. And that was such a hard word for me to use, because I want people to thrive,
yeah,
not just survive from things. But I didn't want to change the title, but but it makes a difference. So these are stories of survivors.
mhm,
They're not all thriving. They're not all thriving. They're not all 100% healed, well, all good. They're still dealing with some of this damage. They're still dealing with the repercussions of these relationships. They're still in contact with their family. Can't get rid of your mama, so they still have interaction with some of these people. They still work with some of the same bosses.
right,
Some of them may have changed churches, but you got a new pastor, they act the same way the last pastor act. So, that was why I used the word survive, because they're not all thriving. Not one person that I talked to was here yet. Not one person. Even though they had gotten out, gotten free, and was able to share their story, they weren't at the point where they could teach it. At the point where they can move without feeling the pain. They can still feel the pain. There's still some trauma there. And I don't think we realize that, once we've been traumatized by something, there's the trauma stays. That's why it's called mental wellness, because you are always working on your mental wellness. It is a constant thing that you have to do. You have to manage your stress every day, not just after an accident. Not just after PTSD, not just after losing a job, losing a friend, losing a parent. You have to continue to stay on top of your emotional health and your mental wellness. So I don't know if we ever get here, because we have to keep ourselves in check. And we have to watch the people around us so that we can say, hey, friend, you ain't really been yourself. I ain't seen you. What's going on?
Right.
So you have to get to a place in your mind where you can even recognize when somebody else is hurting, somebody else is in a hole, somebody else is on the edge. And what do you do after that? What did Chrissy say? Chrissy said, I seriously can't wait for this book. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you. Thank you for watching. My ACT pack is on here.
What's up, ACT?
Well, ACT pack.
Wow. Well, I'm with your friend. I can't wait for this book. I can't wait to talk more about this because it cannot stop here. And I know you're very, very, very clear and very, very aware of that. So I definitely look forward to doing, more of this regarding, just wholeness and wellness and mental health as a complete, as a complete thing to do. It amazes me. Like my brain is like spew right now. My brain is all over the place with this thing because it just makes you think about life and your own experiences and it makes you, first of all, it makes you study yourself, until thine own self be true. So, if our friends who are listening, if you feel like you have experienced this type of behavior within yourself first, and then if you feel like, you've experienced this type of behavior with others, check yourself, check your surroundings, check your well-being, check your circles, you know what I mean? And if help is required, please go get that help. Like I said at the beginning of this program, if you have questions or concerns or statements or whatever the case may be, feel free to go in my inbox. Feel free to go on Angel's inbox. I say go to Angel's inbox because she has way more experience than I do. Because I'm not going to do anything, but I'm my friend. So I got to. So just go to her inbox. Go to Angel Simmons inbox. Matter of fact, go follow her on social media. On Facebook, if you're not doing so already, at Angel Simmons. Follow her on Instagram at Loves Great Design. Where else you floating around?
The Message Inc.
The Message Inc.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Loves Great Design, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I believe this is broadcasting on my Angel Simmons Advocate, blah, blah, blah page on Facebook. So I'm everywhere. You can find me. Did you have more questions? You said your brain was.
No, we're just going to have to do a part 2. We're going to have to do a part 2, I think, after the book is released.
Oh, definitely.
Maybe a part 2 after you get, more response from victims, I guess. Is that the proper word?
Listen, I cannot wait for people to read these stories. I have had the honor of seeing these stories first, and when they came, I was like, call me, message me. And I think the last one I got, I videoed her. I didn't even warn her. I just hit the video. I'm like, I need you to see my face after reading your story, because I can't believe, it's like the things that we have the things that we have dealt with, the traumas that we have experienced, it's amazing that we still walking and standing and breathing
I'm
and
telling you. I'm telling you.
it's amazing. Some of these stories, it's like, I know it's true because you sent it to me, but you kidding me, right?
Right.
It's like, oh my God. And the fact that they would choose to share those to help somebody else heal.
Yeah.
And then I kind of dissect it and talk about uh, different things. Like there's chapters talking about recognizing red flags. We're talking about trauma bonding. We're talking about, um, I'm trying not to give too much away. We're
No,
talking
because I swear I'm pulling it. I got a
love
question
bombing.
already from
We're
what you
talking
just
about,
said.
yeah, we're talking about love bombing. We're talking about ghosting
Yeah.
and being discarded and flying monkeys and, and agitators and
Yeah.
triangulation. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. But I go through all of those terms that I did in that video. We go through every last term from the video I did last year, every last term, and break it down and talk about how it affects you, what's the science behind it, what it means, um, and how to get out of that. So
Can you say more about trauma bombing?
trauma bonding. That is usually used when you're talking about domestic violence victims, or if you're talking about children, child abuse, or um, I think the term is Stockholm syndrome.
Okay.
Um, when a person is connected to their abuser, um, at some point, and it's not that you don't know you're being abused, but there is such an emotional, psychological connection to where you're depending on them for everything. So
Mhm.
if you have a situation where you had someone in a domestic violence relationship, they don't have access to their bank accounts. Everything is in the spouse's name, all the checks, records, things like that, insurance. They can't do anything without that other person. At some point, it becomes all about pleasing that person so that you don't get um, hit, or you don't get abused, or you don't get hurt. So that's what you're living to do. And after so long, it goes beyond depression into just despair. That's the word I'm looking for.
Mhm.
You don't feel like there's no escape. You can't get out. You can't get away. So you don't even try. I've seen studies of people. They had opportunity to leave. They had opportunity to get out. They were able to go to the grocery store. They were able to go take care of errands. They were able to go pick up food. It's like you had an opportunity. You left the house. You got away, um, but they didn't, because at some point it's like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do on my own, or believing that you're always gonna be found, or you're always gonna be dragged back into the same relationship, and at some point you just don't even try to leave. You are that connected to your partner. Um, I've heard of people that thrive in chaotic environments, like
Yeah.
they're addicted to chaos. They have to. It has to be something. If there's no chaos, they'll create it. So you think about that, and think about someone who's been in that situation. Um, Whether they can get out or not, they're not going to try to, because that's who they're with. That's their person. And some of it might be feeling like they're not worth more or valued, and some of it is purely mental. It's purely psychological, because they've been so beaten down. They've been so talked down to their will is
Right.
gone. So
That was a whole word right there.
right.
That was a whole word.
Lot. It's a lot. And you made me think about something. I do not talk about this in the book, but you made me think about um, people who've been kidnapped,
Hmm.
and they reference Stockholm syndrome with that. They've been kidnapped. They stay with their kidnapper.
Hmm.
So most people that are in domestic violence victims, they haven't all been kidnapped, but you have some people who stay with their kidnapper because they have bonded with this person, and I don't know. I
And
don't
it
know.
becomes okay. It becomes the norm.
It becomes expected. It becomes
Sure.
expected to the point where they don't expect anything else. They don't expect to get free. They don't expect to get out. They don't expect to get better or be treated any better. This is just where they are. This is just where they are. And I think a lot of people that have been in narcissistic relationships, it just becomes what it is. What the young folks say, it is what it is.
It
They
is
get to
what it
the
is.
point, they get to the point where they're not even trying to get out. They're not trying to get out. They're not trying to do anything better. This is the state of the world in my little corner, and it's not that I'm comfortable with this, but it's that I'm familiar with this. I know the ins and outs. I know if I raise my voice, what's going to happen. I know if I talk too low, what's going to happen. I know if dinner's not on the table, what's going to happen. I know if I don't loan her money, what's going to happen. I know, if I don't let my mother come visit, I know, so it's so much, but we are familiar with our situation, and we know what to expect, and we kind of know how to navigate through it, even if we're not fully functioning. We know how to survive, and that's why I don't like the word survival, because it's not thriving. We're not talking
Right.
about thriving. We're talking about survival for a reason. But
Yeah.
who are they learn how to survive in that space, just enough to stay alive, just enough to get to the next day, just enough to get to the next week, and hope no one notices. For the
That
most part, I hope no one notices.
that part. Wow.
I see Leanzer. Hey, Leanzer. I don't know if you're still here. Chrissy said, it's so hard to break the cycle when it's such a freeing thing. Explain that. What's freeing? What's the freeing part? I need further explanation.
Yeah, I would like to understand that better as well.
Tell us what you mean, Chrissy.
Yeah. In the meantime, hopefully she responds. That's I'm interested in knowing what her what she means by that. But that trauma bonding, that's a trip. That was a whole word for real. That was a whole message. The message ink. That was a whole message you can speak. With that, and we just have to allow ourselves to heal
Yeah,
and to totally be free.
I
And
know. And what is free? Free is scary. Free is scary. And let's be real. For the most part, there is something that we get from narcissists. Let's not pretend we don't get nothing. There's a reason why a lot of people are in those relationships. Um, there's something that we're getting that we don't want to give up, and that's one of the reasons why we don't leave. And people have to really look at that. And that's like one of those come to Jesus moments. Um, what is it that they do for you
yeah,
that you don't want to leave? If you're talking about a romantic relationship, if it's not money, it's sex. It is definitely sex. Let's be real. The majority of narcissists are excellent lovers because that's all they got to give you. That's all they got to give you. They got to make sure they rock your world, knock
right,
your
right,
socks
right,
off,
right.
so you can come back to something. Because even if they don't, um, even if they don't recognize soul ties, they know they got one. They know you are. They know you are tied to them for a reason, and sometimes they know it's that. If they know they are excellent lovers, uh, they gonna do everything they can to keep getting you back over there. Because the more they
That
love on
comeback is real.
you, the more you'll show up and overlook all the other foolishness, but you're trying to get to that good. Just be real. Um, if it's a ministry situation, maybe it's because you're in a position of leadership. So if you have an issue with the pastor or the deacon or the ministry leader, then you would lose your position in leadership if you spoke out or said something. If it was an employer, you lose your job. You talk about financial stability. I walked away from a job with no plan B. Walked walked away from a job because it was affecting my health. It was affecting my health, but it's for some people. Some people didn't. A lot of people stayed. There were two people that walked away right before I did. I was number three. Like, you know what? You ain't gonna leave me. You gonna leave me up in here no more.
Right.
But I left people behind, at that job who were still putting up with that treatment. But there's always something on the line for me. It was my check. I wanted my check. I had good Bryson. I had good benefits, friend. Good benefits that I had to give up because I couldn't do it. Somebody wasn't gonna live to see another day, and it was.
Peace of mind is everything.
And it wasn't gonna be me, so I had to choose my peace of mind over them good benefits that I had. But it's always something. There's something that's holding you there. There's a reason why you're still there. Oh, Chrissy answered.
Okay.
How do you feel when you finally get rid of that nerve? Yes. Oh, that's the freeing part. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There was great relief. There's also grief. There's also some grief that comes behind it. We talked about that familiarity. You losing something. You're losing something. The same chapter that I'm talking about trauma bonding. I believe I talk about the physical responses that your body has to toxic relationships. And I thought it was just me until I started talking about this and meeting other people who actually deal with chronic pain, because your body is you're always in fight or flight mode. You're always ready to do something. I remember certain people had certain text tones. And to this day, if I hear a particular text tone, it's like my whole body is like
really
responding to that, because I had been in such a habit of responding so quickly. As soon as I heard it, like I couldn't let 5 minutes go by. Let me respond. Yes, I'm on my way. Yes. What would you like? Yes. It was so much. Talk about, you ever seen somebody jump over a couch to answer a phone? That's kind of what it feels like. But I also, because I do suicide interventions, I never turn my phone off. So my phone would go off all night. I turn Messenger off at night, but I never turn my phone off. So all night long, it didn't matter what time of day it was, my text would go off. And it's like, okay, let me get up. Okay, let me get up. Okay, I'm on my way. Okay, what? And it's like, are you kidding me? So even to this day, when I hear it, my body still kind of flinches. I still react to that. And it ain't my text because it's somebody else, but you sitting in a meeting, somebody else's phone go off. It's like, oh, okay, I need 3 seconds. I just need 3 seconds to get myself back together. But chronic pain in your body, people have experienced that. I had like stomach issues all of a sudden. It's like because I was always stressed. I was always on the edge of my seat because at any point in time, my phone would go off and I needed to be somewhere. But it's really interesting. But this happens to a lot of people. So when you talk about mental repercussions. You talk about psychological issues that follow and trauma that lives with you after you've been traumatized. Your body does some things as well. So for me, it was like my stomach all the time or my back all the time. For other people, it was shoulder pain, neck pain, eye
Right.
pain, migraines.
Right.
And it's like, are you kidding me?
Right.
But that's the type of thing. That's the type of thing they would deal with. Chrissy said even certain songs on the radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, music. Yeah, for me it was their text song. But for some people, yeah, it could be a certain song or food.
Mm.
If you always went to a particular restaurant, if you
Yeah.
always drove a certain route, yeah, that was another
Yeah.
one. If I was on that same street, if you're on the same street, because you will only be on that street going one place, now you're going somewhere else. Yeah, it's a big deal, but we make such light. We make such light of our trauma that we never get a chance to fully explore it, um, or even to begin to heal from it, because we're just brushing stuff off. We're supposed to be so strong. We've developed these hard outer shells because we don't want nobody else taking advantage of us, but we're not dealing with our shit. So
Right.
we have to get to the point where we're handling our stuff, and we can say that, hey, that song bothers me. At some point, you're going to have to sit and listen to that song.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to sit and listen to that song. At some point, I have sat on my phone and hit the text tone and just hit it and kept
Just to
playing
kind
it.
of make yourself
Just
deal
kept
with it and
playing
push
it
through it.
until my body would stop reacting to it. Just keep playing it. Every now and then, you got to keep doing that. You might have to go to that restaurant and get something different that you didn't get when you were going with that person, so that we have to conquer these things
Yeah.
as opposed to avoiding them. You can't heal by avoidance. We actually need to jump in and get
Yes.
to the nitty gritty of
Yeah.
some of this stuff. You got to get in there. You got
Yeah.
to get, because it's in you. So you got to get in it.
Yes. You better come on with these messages. Man, oh man. Wow. Do you have any more? Are there any more comments or questions on your end?
Mm-mm. I don't see anything. Mm-mm. Nope, that's that. I was gonna check Facebook and see if it's anything that I missed. Chrissy said, "Girl, we need to have a serious conversation." Girl, say what you need to say right now. No,
Yeah. Help the next person.
I know that's personal, but if you got something, throw it out there. Somebody else might be watching
Yeah.
that needs to hear that. So,
Yeah.
give me something. Ask me a question. Give me something, Chrissy. Give me something.
This is a judgment-free zone, Chrissy.
Yes, give me something. Give me a question so
Yeah.
somebody else can get this. I don't see anything on Facebook. They're the same. Let's see, because all of these are coming from Facebook. So let me see, because I can't see the whole question. So let me adjust the screen.
Okay. Fingers crossed.
Right?
The screen adjustments was a whole movement earlier.
She said, "How?" Whew. She said, "How do you handle it when it's your own mom?" Oh, Chrissy, I knew you were going to be trouble. As soon as I say ask me a question, I knew you were going to be trouble. Um, one of the stories that one of the stories that's in the book is about a mother-daughter relationship. Um, so I'm gonna tell you get the book, but I will share. She said you asked for it. I will say this was probably the most difficult um, relationship dynamic because other family are involved. Um, what my person did. who shared this story, she had to cut off contact. I don't know if that's possible for everybody, but that was the best and healthiest thing for her. She actually had to cut off contact with her mother. Um, the grandchildren, uh, you know, at some point they cut off contact, but you know, initially it was just her and her mom, and it was a very difficult situation. I mean, talk about your mom, you talk about family, obviously, but if you were raised in a family and it was a toxic environment, and you were always the black sheep, you were always taking the blunt of the jokes, the mistreatment, the forgetfulness. You know, at some point it becomes a little easier when you put in your peace of mind. When you put in your peace of mind first, um, you know, just like I didn't want to lose them good benefits. When you look at the situation and what is it that you're giving up? So asking yourself that question before we talked about what are you getting from the narcissist? What is it that a person is getting from their mother other than it being their mother? If it's a toxic relationship, if they have been abused mentally, psychologically for years, what is it that you are getting from this person? Whether it's mother, father, aunt, uncle, sister, brother, what are you getting from this person that you would miss if you had to exit this relationship?
Right.
And if it's something that you've been dealing with, at some point your children might deal with that too. So you're protecting your children, you're protecting your spouse, you're protecting the rest of your family by cutting off that contact. You don't always have to go no contact. You can go, I mean, you can go minimal contact,
Yeah,
only handling if it's not family business, if it's not medical business, if it's not financial business, if it doesn't involve, you know, the grandchildren, um, it's nothing else to talk about. Because people who have narcissistic ex spouses, you know, if their children involved, they still have to deal with that. So minimal contact, you know, would be the best thing to start with. If you have to go no contact, you can't feel no certain way about that because you're protecting your family. Um, she said something else. She said, that's tough because of my daughters. I was raised by my grandmother and my mom wasn't around much, and now she's trying to make up for it through my girls. Yes, she said to me that her and I will never have a mother-daughter relationship, only friendship.
Oh, well, that's, I mean,
So what's your question? She's already told you what it is.
right. That's almost a no-brainer.
She's using your children to stay connected with you. She can never make up for. She can never make up for what happened or what went wrong in your relationship.
And she can't make up through the kids either.
Certainly not. If anything, that's torture for you because you have to watch this and you have to worry about whether or not your girls are going to be abused or mistreated or mishandled in any way.
Right.
What is worth your peace of mind? What's worth your peace of mind? Leanzer's there. He said, if it's understood that a narcissist is a real disorder of some sort, one, should it be viewed as malicious behavior? Two, is there an importance to or process in forgiving them? Three, is it affected automatically excused from having to forgive them? Okay, let me take this one at a time.
How do we just put him on the screen?
I mean, did we? Oh, I had to make it bigger just so I can read it.
No, I'm saying, how do we put him on the screen?
Oh,
Physically.
interesting. We probably could add you in here, Sterling, or somebody sent you a link, but that don't mean he's presentable enough to be on camera. Are you presentable? You want to come on this camera? Because we can add you in this conversation. Like,
Right.
right,
We know him well. Please make sure he's
right
presentable.
now. Let us know. We'll add you in here. He said I'm ugly right now. You
Come
ain't never
on,
been,
Lee.
you ain't never been ugly. Ain't none of my friends ugly. I don't know what you talking about. He said he just woke up. Okay. So let me go back. First question. He said if it's understood that a narcissist is a real disorder of some sort, one, should it be viewed as malicious behavior? Okay. From my research, and I just got to go with from my research because it sounds good. There were two different situations. So because of the way our brains are set up, if you can be born with a disorder or you can develop a disorder. This is what it looked like to me. Someone who was narcissistic could have been narcissistic as a child, but you didn't see that until they were a teenager. I think it has a lot to do with environment. So there were a number of things that affected narcissists or which way they would go. If they had an overbearing, nurturing mother, if they had an authoritative father, this was actually in the text, authoritative father who didn't give them freedom to do anything. Those were two of the things that came up. If this was a person who was always being catered to, got everything they want, at some point it becomes an expectation. And the behavior that we have, if you keep doing it, those pathways in your brain are forged to keep doing the same thing, to keep responding the same way. If you are always overly stimulated, and that was part of the brain neurology, where it was something in the brain that was always overstimulated. So they needed more, they needed more, they needed more. There's a difference when you have a person who recognizes that if they do this thing, they'll get this response. And then they just keep doing that thing to get that response. Even though they might have still had the disorder, their brains might have still been set up the same way. That is particularly malicious in intent. That doesn't mean, it could be the disorder's reasoning for why they're doing that, but they have recognized that they get a certain response if they do a certain thing, and they keep doing it to get it. So that was the malicious part in the behavior versus someone who just can't help it. They do this all the time. That might be true, but there's some that recognize that if I do this, I'll get this is the outcome. If I do this, I'll get this. If I call her at 4 a.m, she's coming. If I take credit for their work in front of people at work, she's not gonna say nothing. I can always take credit for her work. She ain't gonna never say nothing because I've seen it. I've seen that happen. If I behave this way during dinner or with the family, this is how my daughter's gonna respond. And at some point they start feeding off of that energy or that response that you're giving them. So some of it is malicious, and some of it is this is what they do. They don't see anything wrong with it. Like we talked about those nine characteristics. Empathy is on that list. Lack of empathy is on that list. Some have empathy, some don't. So every case of NPD is different. It's based on different things. Every person with the disorder does not have a sense of entitlement. Every person with the disorder is not envious of other people, but that's one of the 9 characteristics. Every person with the disorder is not arrogant. They may appear to be extremely humble and be quite manipulative when no one's looking. So it is a case by case basis on which characteristics fit with particular narcissists. I hope that answered question 1. Second question, is there an importance to and or process in forgiving them?
Oh man.
Which person you talking to right now? Are you talking to me, Angel? Or are you talking, who are you talking to? Talking to your girl, Angel? I think there's an importance in forgiving yourself as a victim or a survivor because you didn't know no better. Because it was actually a disorder, because you were being manipulated, because you kept trying to give and give and give, thinking it was going to change something, thinking it would raise your stock, uh, thinking you were going to be worth more or valued more to them. And the reality is, it doesn't matter how much you did or gave, you were never going to be different. You were always going to be as supplied. You're always going to be something for them to feed off of. So I think it's important to forgive yourself for being in that position and not knowing how to get out because you didn't know how to get out, not knowing how to get free because you didn't know how to get free. I think that is important. Forgiving them, I can't dictate what brings folks peace of mind. You know, what's the thing? It's a quote says you have to learn how to forgive someone even if they never apologize. Yeah, I don't really believe it. I do believe if someone had an actual physical, mental, biological personality disorder, they didn't know what they were doing, then there is a place in my heart that wishes them well, that uh, feels something about the struggle that they may or may not even recognize that they have, um, that might give me some kind of solace as to what I had to deal with, because now I know that, okay, they just wasn't right. Can't get right. Ain't that what was his name in life? You just can't
Yeah,
get.
yeah, can't get right.
There's something for that. But do I have to forgive that person? I don't. I will never dictate what brings somebody else peace of mind. I think forgiveness as a believer is necessary and required if you expect to be forgiven for all your mess. But I would never dictate someone who's been abused as a victim whether they need to forgive their abuser.
But
I could not do that with a clear conscience.
and even in forgiving yourself, what happens when and if it happens again,
You keep forgiving yourself. I mean, at some point, once you have been educated, once you have been educated and informed on the signs, the red flags, the warnings, the bells, the whistles, once you've been educated on those things, you can see them clearer. So that when they're coming at you, when somebody, if you encounter someone else, you're more able to recognize it and more likely to go the other way, avoid it, or adjust yourself to not have expectations set up, to understand, okay, this person, yes, I'm not going that way. But once you are able to recognize those signs, you're less likely to go in that direction. It might happen a few times because what did I say in the beginning? We're lovers. We're
yeah.
lovers. That's all people see. They see it, they feel it, they read our energy, they want to be around us. I said in another interview, people, I understand that people have a tendency to like me. I don't like people. Not necessarily. Not all the time. My hashtag is always no new friends. Please. None. Don't friend request me after this. but,
All
but
right, right.
somebody did that too. I was like, girl, I told you. But But because of who we are and because we're so authentic, people feel that and they want that. They want to be around you and they eat it. They eat it up. We are always a supply of food and energy for other people. So it will happen. It will happen again in some capacity. But what is your response to it?
Yeah.
What is your response to it? What will be your position in it? I know I can keep you over there if I know that getting involved any further than this is going to be an issue, it's going to be a threat to my health, safety, or peace of mind. Because I can see it, I recognize the signs, and I'm just not going. I'm not going. Hashtag I'm not going. But somebody said this book is a blueprint, and I kind of feel that way. It's a blueprint. It gives you some instructions. If you are like us, and I say us, and I'm going to include Leanza because he popped on here. I'm going to include Chrissy and Jessica because I know Chrissy and Jessica. We are the us. If you are like us, you are constantly, continually, all the time attracting folks that want what you got. But we respond to people differently.
Mm-hmm.
We don't respond to everyone the same way. We respond to people differently. So
Right.
that makes a difference. That makes a difference in how we can thrive outside of those relationships if we're able to recognize what those signs are. His last part in that said, is the affected automatically excused for having to forgive them? I think I answered that question.
Yeah.
My belief is, my thoughts as a believer are a little different. I do believe it's necessary, but I would never dictate that to someone who has been abused. Never. Because I can't speak from that place because I haven't been in it. Surviving a toxic relationship, yes. Being in a domestic situation, being physically harmed, no, I can't speak to that. So if someone has been in that position, if they decide not to forgive, I can't tell anybody how to handle that. Another question, Leanza, you got a whole lot to say for somebody that just woke up who's too ugly to come on this camera. I just want to point that out. Chrissy said amen to that. He said, what do you think the risk is of people developing narcissism or at least extreme narcissistic tendencies, behaviors, living in a world setting extremely focused on focus on self-gratification, self-love, self-this, self-that. You've answered your question. In your question, it is an extremely high risk. I think I actually believe social media promotes narcissism indirectly. We give you the highlight reel of our life. I'm going to show you all my awards, my achievements. I'm going to show you my good hair day. I'm going to show you my best makeup. I'm going to show you the nicest outfit I got. I'm only going to show you this part of my house because I didn't clean my room.
Right.
Time I was on lockdown, manage your business. You get the highlight reel. You get the best of me. You don't even get the best of me. You get what I want you to see.
Right.
You get exactly what I want you to see. And you don't see anything else other than what I show you, unless somebody else show it, which is why we got privacy settings on our timeline. So you don't be tagging me in photos that I didn't take and approve. And don't be showing me on the video chewing with my mouth open. You're going to get me with my fork like that. You're not going to get me eating on a plate of food. So we are set up to show you the best self that we want to present to you. We are set up for social media to give you our representation. I'm not giving you my authentic self. I'm giving you my representation. When I check in on Sunday and show you what services I went to, I'm going to give you the quote that I like from that pastor so that you can think, I'm an amazing believer who pays attention to the word
Come
and
on,
goes
somebody.
to church online because I can't go to church in person. And you don't know that I popped in for 5 minutes, got that quote, and went right back to whatever I was doing. Ah, we show you our representation on every platform it is. Some platforms you get the dirty for 24 hours and then it disappears. But you're gonna get my representation. You're not gonna get me. You're gonna get my spokesperson. You're gonna get my hype man. That's all you're gonna get. You're not gonna get me.
Mm.
Um, even whether you're a friend or not, you know, whether you're able to post on my timeline or not, whether you were in the picture with me or not, you're not gonna get me. You're gonna get what I want to show you. So I believe social media, uh, yeah, it is the promoter of narcissistic tendencies because this is what you're gonna get. Right now, I'm promoting my books, because I want you to buy this book.
Buy the book, July
Thinking
27th.
about
Buy the
this
book.
book, July 27th, so we get a chance to go on there and tell you we're amazing people and hope you believe it. Hope you believe it. Hope you tell other people so they can follow and purchase as well. But we're set. This is what we're set up for. You know. We talk a lot. Williams and I have talked a lot about the wrongness of self love because people talk about that as if it's so one. You got to love yourself first before you love anybody else. No, you need to love. Period. You just need to be loved. If I'm loving you, then I'm loving myself. If it's truly love, if I'm loving my friend, then I'm loving myself. I don't have to love myself first. In the act of love and being love, you are love in all places. That includes me. It includes yourself. It includes God. It includes other people. So we don't have to put emphasis on that. But we put emphasis on that because it makes us feel better. I love myself first. Self-care. I hate using it. I hate it. I hate using the term self-care. I know what it is and I know what it means. I know what it's intended for. But self-care sounds selfish to me. I shut down this weekend for self-care. And people go, oh, did you have aromatherapy? Did you light candles? Did you soak in a tub? Did you have wine or mimosas with breakfast? I had to go off of social media. I took a social media break. We didn't notice because I was posting my shit. I didn't notice you were missing because I go on here to post my stuff and go back off. But we applaud each other for being selfish. We applaud each other for all of that. It's seen as a good thing. You make that smaller again, but it's looked upon as a good thing when we take time out for ourselves. That's fine if you're doing that, but the fact that you're announcing it, you got to make it a proclamation.
And
Uh,
and that's the selfish part of the whole thing right there. Nobody even needs to know.
no one cares. If you
Like
disappear,
nobody.
you disappear. And people
Right.
who know this will know this. Okay, she's been offline for a while. And if they don't have your number, then they can't reach you no way.
Right.
So think about that first. People ain't
Right.
got your don't pop back on and be like, I took a break for 2 months on social media and nobody looked for me. We ain't got your phone number. Because we wasn't friends in the first place. Okay. Let's Let's talk about that. I think people need to learn how to maintain their relationships outside of social media. I had a whole conversation with somebody. It was a whole thread. It was a whole thread. A friend of mine was asking what people's thought was of this. If I do this on your post, if I give you a thumbs up versus a heart, what does this mean? And there was like tens and tens and I don't know if it got over 100, but people who had responses to what they thought this thumb meant. And I'm like, seriously? And we've had that conversation before, but it's like it's a thumb. It means okay,
Right.
good, great
Cool.
job. I saw it. Cool. It's an acknowledgement. But some people are using the thumbs up sarcastically instead of giving hearts. It's like I didn't heart it because I didn't love it. I try not to throw love around loosely. I mean, come on. I'm not just throwing love around that loosely, but because you didn't heart somebody's stuff, they feel in some kind of way. You know,
Who said that? Like, who has time to even think about that?
But we do. We're talking about selfishness. We're talking about our images on social media and our representatives. Our representatives want this heart on everything. I want all hearts or laughs or what. Now we got the hug. Now we got the little
the little care button.
That little thing look real funny to me. But now we got the care. Like, oh, because I don't want to heart something because somebody just died, so I'm gonna give you the care now, instead of the sad face, because it was a really nice message, so I don't want to cry either. But it's like, oh my God, it's like we are so extremely selfish as individuals that our expectations of other people's responses are up here. You can't just respond with a thumbs up that I saw your message. I need a heart to know that you loved what I said. What if I didn't? I liked it, but I ain't love it. I see a whole lot of stuff that I like, and that's all I did was like it because I didn't love it. I liked your picture. I didn't love your picture. Did you see your picture? That's why I didn't love it. But we are so extremely selfish that we need this. Our egos, that's the word I was trying to get to. Our egos require constant stimulation and affirmation. All the time. We need it. I need it. I need it. I need it. I need it. Tell me I'm wonderful. I need it. 5 times a day. I need it. You ever see people that post 5 times a day? It's like, what are you doing? Unless you were home all day, and that's unusual for you. What are you doing? Why aren't you posting that much? Facebook's, I remember, and I didn't get on Facebook for a long time, but it was like, it's like a personal public journal. That's what it is. These are my thoughts. I'm going to tell you. The answer said, I've learned to self-care in a way not many people would have ever seen or known because advertising it isn't necessary. Even in partnership, my partner may never hear me say I need space or a day to myself. I find time, even between time if necessary, to center or self-care. That's good. That's good. I don't think my people have ever heard me say. If I say I needed some quiet, that's different. I just needed to be. That's a little different. Most of the time, my self-care involves other people.
Right.
When I'm self-caring, I am calling my friends. I'm messaging folks. I'm checking on them. I'm inviting the couple of people that I let know where I live by my house. Right. That's when I'm self-caring. I'm self-caring by texting folks and saying, hey, who want to go eat? Or I made a cake. Come get some cake. Somebody come get this cake. My self-care involves
cooking. Can I get some self-care on the cake?
Involves cooking for other people, because I self-care by surrounding myself with good energy. And good energy includes the people that I like. Notice I said like, because I love a lot of folks, but good energy includes the people that I like. Leanne said, I ain't never been to your house. Leanne said, you don't live here. And Leanne dropped me off and pick me up and leave. I mean, he don't come to the door, ring the bell. He never got to pee and come inside. He just messaged me that he downstairs. Him downstairs. That's why you never been in the house. You ain't never asked to come in the house. You never asked to come in the house. Stop treating me like a drive-by friend. Drop off and pick up. He said, yes, some relationships them themselves are, I got to blow this up just to read it. Some relationships themselves are forms of self-care. Yes, I agree. I agree. Because as much energy as I give out, I get that back from the people I like. I get that back when we sitting around laughing and cracking jokes. I get that back when we're enjoying good food and taking selfies, at the table. I get that back, from them. Or when people answer the phone, Leanza, when people answer the phone when you call,
Oh, say it again.
I get when they answer the phone when you call, I get that energy back that I've been giving out all day, or that's being taken from me and I don't even recognize it. When
Mm-hmm.
people take your energy, you ain't doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But they are using it. They using it. Christy said very few, far between, but those are, yep, those are, yeah, you're right. I said there's a handful, and I said because I don't like everybody that I love. You don't like
Very, very,
everybody. Look,
very,
breaths of
very.
fresh air and space to breathe. Yep. Yep. Oh, Leanza sent me something last night. What did you send me? Now I gotta look it up because I want to say that. I want to say it now. He said breath, and it made me think about it. It was a post that he sent me. I don't even know who this dude is. Oh, the quote. One of the quotes he said: "Instead of breathing life into each other, we're inhaling."
Mm. Mm.
And the post is like this long, but that part stuck out. Instead of breathing life into each other, we're inhaling. So when you're talking about selfishness, you talk about people sucking your energy, it's because we're not doing that. We're supposed to all be giving and sharing and being light for one another and speaking life into each other. But for some people, they just
Yeah,
they
yeah.
take. Whether it's selfishness or whether it's an actual disorder or whether it's behavior that they've just gotten used to doing, they take. And it makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference. So in those relationships that we have harnessed into good spaces and good energy, that's where we have learned to thrive in those particular spaces where we are all breathing life into each other versus taking from each other. That makes a difference. What do you say? There you go. Which causes us to have to survive one another instead of thriving with one another. Yep, I
There
just
it is. Full circle.
hmm That's why he asked about the risk for many developing narcissistic tendencies. Absolutely. 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 You sound real smart. All my friends are famous and smart.
I'm loving this interaction on here. I'm loving the interaction.
Mm-mm. I'm trying to see.
Leanne, there any more questions, comments? Chrissy, any more questions, comments? Y'all came through strong.
Listen, they wait till the last 45 minutes.
Right.
The book drops on July 27th, Early.
July 27th.
I just put the link in there. I didn't see anywhere on here where I can share the video, but yeah, I saw the promo on my page. But we were trying to, I had it up to share, but there's nowhere to share my screen. I guess, this is the free version.
That part.
This is the free version. So I couldn't share my screen, so that's that. I put the link in there for the book, lovesgreatdesign.wordpress.com/talk target of love. You guys weren't on here earlier. I said the first 20 people that order or pre-order will get this beautiful silver locket that has lava stones for you to put your essential oils in it. Mine did. Mine is sweet orange for energy because I didn't sleep that well. So my sweet orange is on here for energy. But the first 20 people will get a free gift with stones, and you can customize your scents when you pre-order. You got to order for me though. When you pre-order, and they will come loaded up with good stuff, and then you can put your own scents on there if you like. If you order both books at the same time and it's past the 20 people, you might still get a free gift. We'll see. We'll see how that works for people who order both books. So he said July. Yeah, I see what you did there. Yes, July 27th is a significant day for me. I can't talk about that, but it is a significant day for me and my freedom from that. Um,
Can that be discussed after the book drops or no?
yep, we can talk about that. We can talk about that. It actually has everything to do with the first story in the book.
Okay. Okay, we'll do that.
So the first story in the book, this is the significance of that date. So
Okay.
that is that. You can give one of my books as a free gift as you launch. Answer.
What'd you say?
Since I can give one of his books away as a free gift when I launch, as I launch.
Mhm.
That's so precious. Stop giving away your stuff for free.
Right. Right.
If they buy a shirt, they can get a book. Or if they buy a book, they can get a shirt. I need you to get some money, something, sir. But that's great. Yes. I was a little disappointed because we weren't able to do V3
I was just getting ready to ask you about
birthday.
that.
We didn't get a chance to do V3 for my birthday.
Yeah.
Because I have I have one of his books to give away because that was for that. He's silly. Look at him. You are a mess. Say he's trying to get rid of his stuff so he can retire. Okay, retire.
Right.
Okay, retire. But yeah, they since they are opening up things, I just had this conversation twice this week about whether or not we'd be doing a V3 in the fall. Kusanya is getting prepped to reopen, and we missed June. We had February. We would normally be having our third um, show in October. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to see what happens in see what happens in July. See what happens with the state of the world and the cases and the pandemic, and see. I know they're not letting any more than 50 people gather. I think it's different for stores and restaurants. 'Cause I went in a store yesterday and they wouldn't let more than 15 people in. They wouldn't let more than 10 people in another place I went. I thought dining. I don't know what the dining restrictions are for how many people can be inside. But if we get to the last phase, we get to the last phase by September, we'll see. I'm considering still doing the show in October. I want to make sure Kusanya gets my business, especially
Yeah.
if they reopen. If we have to cap the people at 30 or whatever, I'll just cap it. Um, I'm interested to see how many people would come out. Um, they wait to the last minute to buy tickets anyway. So I need to know. I would have to know.
Right.
I have to know um, that people would really, really turn up for that in order to put it in place. I know a lot of storytelling shows that have been doing online storytelling events and virtual stuff and Zoom shows. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. I'm on Zoom every day. I didn't I didn't want to do storytelling Zoom, and that doesn't, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's like we part of the V and V3 is vibes, and
Right.
that's from us getting together and that good energy that's in the room and people being there, us supporting vendors, supporting Kusanya and listening to people and interactions and stuff. So no, I didn't want to do anything online. I would wait. I would wait until we can come back together before I try to do something virtual. Okay, sir is still talking. He said, well, I can't even come into Chicago currently without having to quarantine 14 days before allowed in public. You're right. You're right. Is that true for everybody flying into the city? They got to quarantine for 2 weeks.
I did hear something about that.
I
I
thought
did
they
hear
were
something.
coming to certain places. Like if you go to Florida or come from Florida,
Yeah.
I guess Vegas was one of them places. Y'all shouldn't have
I
been
think
out there
I
popping off.
think Florida and I think of Georgia or Texas or somewhere.
Yeah,
I
he
know
said
Florida
certain
for sure
states.
because my dad lives in Florida. He was trying to come. He was like, I gotta be still for 14 days when I get there. He was like, that's the whole trip.
Exactly. That's the whole trip. You got to have a cabin in the woods or something.
Right.
What you doing? Who house you staying at for 14 days? And you got to
Right.
stay in one spot.
Right. Right.
Mhm. Yeah, so certain states. Yeah, I did hear Florida, and I thought I heard Atlanta because they were wilding out.
They were wild in Atlanta.
Texas, California, maybe. Maybe those two. He said Chicago has a travel order. Yes, it's okay. All right. All right. Y'all out there. Well, it won't be no time soon, so you ain't got to worry about it. Wouldn't be. I was considering September. I thought about that, but October was when it was scheduled, so we would keep with the schedule. If we're able to do our show, it would be then. He said only Chicago, not suburbs. Well,
Only Chicago, not the suburbs.
mm-hmm. Right.
Right. That's all I got.
So if you fly into O'Hare, you can stay in Oak Lawn. What's happening? That's crazy. So if you fly into O'Hare, but not if you fly into Midway, I don't trust it.
At all.
I don't trust it. Chrissy
At all.
said she's gonna go pre-order right now. Thank you, Chrissy. Notice I didn't give a price. I didn't give a price because it ain't on sale till the 27th. So if people pre-order before then, I had one
Better
person.
hope that all the stimulus check come through.
I had one person that sent me money for pre-order. She said price doesn't matter. That's the same thing he said. I'm like, I didn't even say the price. I was waiting until I was done so I would have the page count and I could figure that out. I think I know I think it was gonna be the same as the other book, but I just hadn't said it yet and people sent me money. I just thought that was so funny. It's like I didn't even tell you how much it costs. This is support. That's support. And it's like if it's more than that, go buy a sandwich. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Thank you very much. But yeah, so that is that. So what's next for being the mix?
Next for being the mix, man. We just trying to stay in the mix. Just kind of like you said, you gotta play everything by ear. We are definitely live and in full effect on our social media, so you can always find us there.
I saw the new studio set up. That was for Q4. That was for
Yeah,
Q.
yeah. Yeah, we can't wait to get back with those guys. But everything is on hold just like the rest of the world. You know, but moving forward, using this time for creativity. Allowing that creativity to flow and stuff like that, and build on new things, and embark on new things and stuff like that. So,
That's good.
um, scheduling my next interview for let me see uh, let me see what day July 27th is.
Oh, uh-oh.
Let me see. That's a Monday.
Oh, wait, you meant me. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. It
Yeah,
sure is.
that's a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Leanza said, good talk. Chrissy said, great conversation. Thank you both. Yeah, I wanted to put in there that this was going to be a conversation because I knew who you were. And I knew it was not going to be an interview. It was going to be a conversation. So I should have edited that. But I
Yeah.
made the flyer. I didn't want to make a new flyer. So, yeah, this
Yeah,
was
we rap hard. We rap hard.
definitely a conversation. So
They said what?
I said it was definitely a conversation,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
not an interview.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, this is cool then. This is cool. Thank you guys for tuning in. Everybody who tuned in, make sure you go get this book on July the 27th.
That's right.
Read the book July
Yeah.
27th. Tell them the link. Tell them your personal link because they want to support you in
It,
buying
it
this book.
yeah, and you're gonna have to wait till you get it and read it before we can have an interview. I just thought about that. But if I get one early, I'll let you when I get it early.
Okay.
You're going to lovesgreatdesign.wordpress.com / targeted love.
There it is.
So that is the blog. You can get that from. By the time the 27th comes around, there may or may not be a new link, but that is my blog for Love's Great Design. So you can pick up both books from there if you don't have it. You can't get a shirt because it's just for me. You missed that chance. You missed the chance to get Love's Great Design shirts. So I was gonna do a shirt this summer too, and then the
Right.
world
Everything.
stopped.
Right.
The world stopped. I didn't really think buying the T-shirt would be anybody's priority when they were trying to find toilet paper and disinfectant and Lysol. So I didn't bother about doing a shirt, but I might drop a shirt next year,
Yes.
or maybe right before the holidays. We'll see. We'll see where we are. We'll see where we are. But thank you so much for having me on. And
Absolutely. Target of love,
asking the
surviving
hard
narcissistic
questions.
abuse.
Asking the hard questions. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for all your comments and questions in the chat. Thanks for tuning on. We've been on here a long time.
I know.
I will be sure that the next one says conversation. So y'all know it's different than an interview.
Oh man, but it's all worth it. With the real stuff, you can't just talk about it real quick. So this is the real deal. I appreciate you. I'm proud of you as always. Keep on doing. Angel Simmons, everybody. She's the bomb. Check
Thank
out.
you, media guru Brysen Williams. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll catch up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.